Hey guys, Codeberry's here today, so I hope you're all doing well. A couple hours ago, Bitcoin had a spike, so we had a volatile spike. What time was it? 1800 hours, so 6 o'clock. There was a spike. I did see it a few hours ago. I don't know if it was at the exact time, but it was a little bit higher. You can see that we did have some volatility, so we're on the 1 hour. You can see that it came above that blue band at the top. It drifted away from the EMA2 and EMA9. At one point it was very far away. You can see that EMA2 here, that when it was, this is that white line right there. So when it did drift that far away, you can see where the line was. So when it was up here, the line was about here, maybe a little closer, but it was far away. Those are like volatile trades, so you can see how high it went. We drifted far away from that center line. The RSI came up pretty high. That's the yellow line. See, these are high, slightly high too, but you can see how volatile it was. Basically, it drifted high above those channels and above those EMAs. The MACD, faster MACD, it was a sharp rise and a fast, and a sharp rise and a sharp inflection. So you can see the inflection here. It was very sharp. The slope was very negative towards positive infinity, so that was very bearish. Let's try to show you, compare this against something else that was less sharp. Is there anything here? So perhaps if you looked at if you actually kind of looked at the numbers, but you can just kind of eyeball it, you can see that the slope on that inflection and that one compared to this one, it's actually less, so it's more negative. There's more negative slope on that. It's a sharper inflection. We did drift far away from the zero line, so there's a zero line right there. You can see it on the y-axis here. That shot up very high. So you can see the previous peaks for the last few days. We did shoot up quite high, so I'll keep zooming back, and you'll see that we haven't had anything even in June that was that volatile if we compare it here. The MAD is kind of funny, it auto changes itself with the data that you're showing. But if you compare it, so there's a peak, the current peak, and here's the previous peak. That's the second last, actually that's the last peak where it didn't even get, it's still up there. That's at 15 something, 1528, and that one's at about 1100, maybe almost 11.81. So they're still far away, and we can go back. We can go back all the way to March, and even that peak is still above all these peaks. So I'm not sure if that's the same for every time frame. You'll have to. That's just a tip if you're looking into it. You can compare. You can compare that against all the other peaks. And you can just keep going back. So okay, here's it actually. So we did have a peak that beat that line, and that was all the way back in February. So I'll just make a mark here. So you can make a mark. Whoops, I wanted a vertical one. Vertical line right here. And you can see the difference. You can calculate whatever if you have time. Let me go back, and then let me go to like the 1 day to see where that was. So it's saying that the spike there, actually I think I remember that spike now. Okay, yeah, so this was when the run was almost over, but it wasn't well, it was still running, so the hype was there, right? So it's saying that it hasn't been that, so today's volatility has not been that volatile since then. So just going off that, we're just based off the 1 hour right now. So where is this going? Well, it looks like we got a clear retracement back to 35. You can see, I'll remove those lines now, and you can see the MACD here, the inflection. It should go at least back to that line. It has to eventually cross back over, right? Unless there was some massive volatility, almost unheard of, that connected that line with that. I don't think so though, because look, this is just turning over. We still have a lot of room. So usually eventually those two lines do have to meet, and the probability is that that top line has to meet, so this signal line has to meet with the 0 line. So it's more probable that this line will go towards that line. We'll have a look at the 4 hour. See, again, those lines have not even inflected. So we would see some red bars here eventually with some inflections, some red inflections. We have still a green candle here, perhaps trying to go red, and we have some room back down to 34 for a possible, maybe another break or another low. So we know the long-term trend as described by the bigger candles, but again, we did test support. Now we're testing resistance. So it's just kind of the natural order of things here. Nothing special. I mean, this is very, there's lots of volatility here. It's not like it's a new stock on the market where there's not too much volatility. There's, that things may be unsure, but here there's lots of volatility. It's kind of all the algorithms working perfectly, pretty much. So we're coming up on the resistance here. So here's the bottom of the red. That's where you want to look. I mean, yeah, bottom of the red and bottom of the greens. So maybe perhaps bottom of the greens, but you can try bottom of the red as well. Maybe just have a look at both. Where's the next one? Actually, let me just remove those lines for a sec. So we're here, I'm looking left, looking left, looking left, looking left. So actually I learned this from Jason Stapleton. That was a long time ago. I took his class actually in like 2015, I think, and it was that the so if you're looking on a bullish trend, the top of the reds are supports, and just guessing, that would mean it would be the bottom of the greens would be resistance, because I can't remember resistance because it was so long ago, and I guess that course isn't available anymore. But yeah, you can try both. But if it was the bottom of the green, that would mean that resistance would be here. So it would be matching that red anyways. Where else? So that's the next area. I mean, that's not too far. Actually, yeah, that is kind of far. But would we get? It's not for sure that we would get there. It's just that's just a next level of main resistance. But it's possible because you can see here we did go below that blue channel. So if I zoom in here, you can see that channel, that second line away from that yellow line. It's that channel right there. It's actually a default Keltner. You can check it out, but perhaps we could get up there because that's what the channel has been kind of doing previously. But again, it's not for sure. This is the weekly though, so we'll just discuss the momentum. So we have a little bit of bullish momentum. We have the new week. Things have been declining for a little while, but we did make a perfect retracement to that center line. So we'll have to see. Again, these could just continue red, so don't get don't rely on these too much. This also the shorter time period indicator denoted by the red line it's starting to get overbought, so perhaps we might see some reversals soon within the next few weeks. And again, we'll just go to the month. So there's no volatility on the weekly. That was extreme. It was big for the 1 hour, but not big enough for the 1 week and the 1 day. And you can see the 1 day getting overbought almost. Well, pretty much you can see that default RSI yellow line is getting almost overbought, and we have these shorter period indicators getting very almost at max. So note those. Most likely the next few days will be red, but again, that's not for sure, but it's just most likely based on the 4 hour. And so again, for the 4 hour was quite volatile. We did get a lot of volatility to the top. We had a run up far away from the EMA2 and the EMA9, away from that center line. The MACD default did come up quite sharp. When's the last time it was this volatile? Was in February. So we only had 2 times when it was. So this is pretty volatile, and when that happens, there's usually a big sell-off just because there's so much volatility, and liquidations usually, or profit taking usually occurs, which results in Bitcoin being liquidated and being turned into cash. So nothing really here to go off. Again, we still have this 1 month hasn't even crossed over yet, so just keep your eye on that. Hasn't even connected with the 0 line, and we have a lot of room for this to even start having some red bars. And I don't think this is the right, ticker. Here we go. So there's more data on BTCUSD versus XBTUSD. I don't think the mods of TradingView know that, but we do, so we're okay. So we did have the shorter time period indicators on the 1 month. We did have the crossover in June from oversold heading to neutral. So I think once we get up to neutral area, or perhaps we were earlier when it was a little bit higher, it must have gone down a little bit. We are coming into a new month, so when that happens, perhaps we could see some more continued movement to the downside when the new month candle starts and these algorithms, longer term algorithms continue to kind of reset. So I'll see you guys next time, and take care. Okay, bye.